Javan Tapani Namoto and Casey Corns, and we look forward to your presentation today. It's lovely to have you with us. Welcome to our staff and very warm welcome to all of our councillors this afternoon. Can I invite our Charles Ropatini to start our meeting today with a karakia. Kia ora.
I rungi te paupautanga o Tamanui te rā tēnei te mihi aroha ki a koutou. Whakatau mai te aio, whakatau mai te rangimārie, whakatau mai ngā whakaaro pai ki runga ki tēnei wharekau ni hera. Whakatū whero o mātou ngā kauairua ki te kaupapa I mua I a tātou I tēnei wā e te atua kaharaua whakawhitia mai tō marama ki runga ki tēnei huinga o ngā kai kaunihera o here taunga Hastings e te atua kaharaua. Āwhina tia mai rā, e noho mai I tēnei tēpū, kia haere tahi tātou I mua I te kaupapa o tēnei rohe o here taunga. I instill calm, I instill peace, I instill good thoughts on this chamber. Open our hearts and our minds to the agenda in front of us at this time, that decisions may be made with wisdom. Shine your light on this house, that you may guide good decision making. Mato mato ariki mahehu karaiti. Āmene, kia tūturu whakamaua kia tīna, haumie, huie, tai ki e.
Ngā mihi nui. Thank you, Charles. We have leave of absence previously granted to Councillor Lawson, and we have apologies from Councillor Kelly Jessup and Renata Nepe. And do I have any further requests for leave today? Thank you. I will move from the chair that we accept those apologies and leave of absence, seconded by Councillor Redstone. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Any against? Thank you. That's carried. Item 4, confirmation of minutes. There's no minutes to confirm today, so we don't need to confirm those. I'd like to now move to, Councillor Harvey.
Councillor Hickey is now online.
Oh, Councillor Hickey's online. Thank you very much. And he is coming back to the meeting. Great, thank you very much. Moving on now to the Merrill verbal report, and from all of our councillors. Here he is, look at that. We thought you're online and you've arrived in person. So I'd just like to, tēnā koutou katoa, no mai haere mai, aroha mai, tihei mauri ora. Good afternoon, everyone, and my Merrill report today, I'd like to welcome and thank you all for your hard work over the last month, as you have stepped into many roles and responsibilities, and just acknowledge, it's been a really, really busy month, and thank you for all your hard work. First of all, we started with the Young Potential Awards with Councillor Buddo out at Iona College, and that High Achievers Awards for our youth was an incredible event, and it's a wonderful photography event, and just to see the calibre of our rangatahi and across our district is absolutely inspiring. We had a wonderful meeting with the new MPs to welcome and congratulate them, MP Katie Nimmin and Catherine Wedd, and the opportunity was to talk about our region's recovery through silt and the need and importance for them to help us. And we're very grateful for the interim government to give us $10 million towards our silt and debris collection as we get our fertile plains and our productive land back into use. We had a great pōhiri, and thank you to Councillor Hickey for welcoming our new Health Hawke's Bay Chief Executive, Irahapiri Mahuka. Thank you, and it was wonderful to meet her. She's come from Canterbury, and she's going to be a wonderful addition to Health Hawke's Bay, and it was a very special pōhiri. It was great to have our Indian community leaders come into the office at the annual Diwali time, as we celebrated the importance of the Indian festival of Diwali, and I thank Councillor Sholem for speaking at the Diwali event. on my behalf, and also all the councillors who attended Diwali. Wonderful event for our community, and great to see so many of our wider community attend that event. The Forsyth Bar Sports and Recreation Awards attended with the Deputy Mayor and myself, and just to see the calibre of sportsmen and women in our region was a wonderful celebration, and it was great to be able to recognise coaches, managers and leaders in the community, as well as the sportsmen and women, and it's always a wonderful sports event by Sport Hawke's Bay. The ASB executive team and board function was held at the MTG Museum, and thanks to Councillor Butto for representing Hastings District Council at that event. Forest and Bird Centenary Lunch. Thank you, Councillor Redstone, for attending this event in Havelock North and celebrating a centenary of the Forest and Bird Association and Society. The Hastings Girls High Prize Giving was a wonderful celebration and many, many successes, and great to see our Youth Council represented at the Hastings Girls High Prize Giving, and also to hear that when I asked the principal, what is your most growing and, sorry, I'm a bit brain dead today, what is the subject that is growing the most at your school? And I was delighted to hear her say it was Te Reo Māori. So it was just a highlight and a thrill for me to hear that. We had an incredible memorial service for Mr. Jeff Bibby. It was a celebration of Jeff's incredible long life, 101 years, and to hear his service as he was honoured at this remembrance service of his incredible service through the Second World War and his war efforts after the war. And I was very proud to represent the RSA and talk about Jeff's incredible service to our country and the wider international relationships that he built over many years. And he was such a character, and we got on like a house on fire at his 100th birthday. He was cheeky and naughty, a bit like myself, you know. We had a lot in common. I've never seen anyone eat seafood like he did, and we had lots of fun at his 100th birthday. It was wonderful to join our councillors with the unveiling ceremony at the Village Green to recognise Graham Lowe family tribute. Everybody just pivoted is the word, and we got there and could celebrate as the Lowe family came together for a special occasion. And for us to all go out there and recognise Graham Lowe's contribution to our district and the wider region over many, many years was just a wonderful time, and it marked the significance of his contribution to Hawke's Bay. The Bailey's Hawke's Bay Wine Awards Gala Dinner was a very special occasion, given the wine industry has been through a very challenging year, and as we know, we lost about 12% of our viticulture industry. So to be able to celebrate the successes of our region's wine industry with Councillor Jessup and Councillor Corbyn was a wonderful night. Thank you for attending. The Outward Bound celebration, the 2023 Kawick Outward Bound course, thanks to Councillor Butto for representing us at this event. The CCS Disability Action AGM, attended by Councillor Wendy Sholem for us at this AGM. Thank you, Wendy, for attending that event on our behalf and speaking at that event on behalf of the Mayor. It was wonderful for Councillor Apatu to attend the wānanga for our tuia held in Wellington on the 4th of November, in which our tuia graduated from their program, and we look forward to hearing from them today as they report back to us what the year has meant for them. Thank you very much, Councillor Apatu, for giving up your weekend and attending this very special occasion in Wellington. The Topline Tradie Academy graduation for the intake for the final year of 2023, this intake, 45 rangatahi and have been now inducted into the academy and have got jobs and roles in civil infrastructure, and this week we attended the Pride of Workmanship Awards, and Topline once again acknowledged their employees at this special Stortford Rotary event. Once again, our Topline won the Supreme Datacom Business Awards this year, and it's wonderful to see their hard work being acknowledged and recognised. And Waylon from the Te Tai Whenua Hiritonga as the region's top leader. It was wonderful to see her recognised. We felt incredibly proud that night as 8 of the business awards, 6 out of the 8 business awards came into Hiritonga Hastings. The Knowledge Bank Family Gala Day, thank you to all the councillors who attended, and it was wonderful to have Councillors Heki, Councillor Fowler and Councillor Sholem representing us at that Knowledge Bank. I don't think, have I missed anybody? So Councillor Butto, thank you for attending. The Knowledge Bank team told me they were overwhelmed by the community's support and response, and it was wonderful to be able to celebrate our Stony Croft actually and open it up to the community once a year. It's such a beautiful place. We also had 2 citizenship ceremonies, and those were held in the chamber for 2 in a month, which is always one of the highlights in our month, as we welcome our new Hiritonga Hastings citizens to Hiritonga Hastings. And thank you for the incredible support by all of our councillors attending those events. It just means so much with our new citizens for them to be acknowledged. Thank you to Councillor Dixon when I was busy somewhere else taking that event with Charles Ropatini as our MC, and I heard it was, out there with one of the best of our ambassadors and mayors, so we've got a bit of an act to keep up with, making sure, and you, Scott, for helping us with our citizenship ceremony. So we've got 2 crews now, we've got, and we won't say who the top crew is. And it's always amazing to attend with Councillor Sholem. The Youth Council end of the year presentation certificates. Our Youth Council get a letter and from the Mayor about their contribution to our council through committees, through the wider community wellbeing, and we had a beautiful afternoon tea with whānau and celebrating their contribution to us. And Councillor Butter, you were there too, and I guess it's also one of the highlights as I watch the growth in our young rangatahi and see them develop as amazing young people in leadership, and my goodness are we lucky to see these incredible young people. And as we told them, they can go away, but they have to come home to us and bring all their skill, knowledge and expertise so we can have them in our community looking after us. We had an incredible launch, and I think it was Councillor Sholem and Councillor Butto attending the Screen Central space, which is what we call our regional film office in Market Street, in Hiritonga, and corner of Hiritonga and Market Street. Well, if you haven't been up to see our film office, have a look and get up there. Are we proud or what? The Eastern Screen Alliance have worked for years and years and years to get themselves a home, a destination, and to be able to celebrate and welcome them into our city as a creative hub was an absolute thrill to us, and to see an incredible turnout of our creative community across our region, but being based here in our city. The Taste Hastings Street Party, well, I'm still raving on about that. I had community coming up to me saying they want one of these every month, and I said, well, you have to fund and sponsor us because we're broke. But what an amazing event of 1,800 people. A lot of people came for Robbie Williams and came to our Taste Hastings Street Party, and it was an incredible event with 25 wineries attending, showcasing our beautiful wines in the Hiritonga Hastings and wider Hawke's Bay. Beautiful live music, and the east end of town was certainly rocking and rolling, and everyone enjoyed a wonderful night. I want to acknowledge and thank Charles Ropatini for the Armistice Day Remembrance Service. What an incredible service that was. And it wasn't until, sometimes we think back 100 years on since our cenotaph was erected. It was funded by the people of Hastings way back then, and we learned a lot about our history that we didn't know. but most importantly, it was a reminder that our community had their grandfathers, great-grandfathers who attended that service, who were very, very grateful to be able to be, at a remembrance Armistice Day. So thank you, Charles, for your contribution, and thank you for everyone who attended, including our Rural Community Board who came to that service. It was very, very special. Our Hawke's Bay Fallen Soldiers Memorial was dedicated on the 11th of November 1923. So 100 years on, we were acknowledging our people that gave their lives for our freedom. Rose Sunday, what a beautiful, beautiful place our Frimley Park is, and what a special place to see families having picnics in our beautiful Rose Garden. And I always enjoy that event. Thank you to Alicia and the team for creating that event and showcasing our beautiful Frimley Park and Rose Garden. Our Mayor and Councillors, thank you to our wider community. I want to thank everybody who attended on the 13th of November, most of you here today, recognising our volunteers, our principals, our ministers of the church, our community that go above and beyond, particularly in this year that we've had. It was a wonderful community, thank you. Those who look after our seniors, those who look after our tamariki, everybody was there, and I was very, very grateful that you all came and we were able to thank our volunteer community. I'm very sad that I had COVID and missed the Flaxmere opening, and thank you for Councillor Hickey, who represented us last weekend as we reopened the beautiful Flaxmere College. The Peterhead 50th anniversary with Councillor Hickey and Councillor Jessup was a wonderful 50th celebration, and to see the principals and hear their stories of the past was a very, very special occasion. And thank you to councillors who joined me for that very, very special Peterhead 50-year birthday. We had, Nigel and I welcomed a new business, Datacom, who invested in our city and starting in May, and we had a very good session with them to look at our future together and how we can support them and how they can be part of our Hastings business community. The Marae Tōtara Tree Trust has just celebrated 21 years, and thank you for attending the event, Councillor Buddy. You've been very busy, haven't you? My goodness me. So thank you, and we think about Pat Turley at this time as we think about the Marae Tōtara Tree Trust and the incredible work they have done over 21 years. The Zone 3 meeting was held, and Councillor Dixon and Councillor Fowler attended on our behalf in Central Hawke's Bay. That's a really, really important meeting, the Zone 3 meeting, and thank you to both councillors for attending. LGNZ meeting held in Wellington to look at the future of local government, to see how we can manage future of local government, and thank you to our Deputy Mayor, Tania Kerr, for attending on our behalf at those meetings in Wellington. Very important kaupapa there. And to our Nikki AGM, and I think we had Casey attended the AGM on our behalf. Thank you very much for attending the AGM, Casey. And for the Tai Whenua, Javan, I think you attended, you both attended the Tai Whenua AGM, and with Councillor Apatu. Thank you very much for attending. We had an incredible camp at the same time. I was at the Camberley Annual Festival at Kirkpatrick Park. And how special that was to be with our Camberley whānau at Aroha Camberley Day, and great celebrations of just being united and being together with our community. And we had an incredible barbershop expo held in Hastings with people from around Aotearoa, and led by our past councillor, Councillor Peletioli, and what a special barber expo that was, showcasing our beautiful city. Well, I think that just about, oh no, it doesn't just about finish. No, sorry, we've got a big month. And thank you to you, Karen, for highlighting our month in front of us. Well, we had an incredible Splash Planet opening, and I want to thank Councillor Watkins, actually, for telling us the history of what we used to know and love as Fantasyland to how it morphed and grew into Splash Planet, and making sure that all of our, how many workers that we've employed, Nigel? 50? 60? 90 our new employees of around 90, was able to hear the history of Splash and Fantasyland, and actually to be told by Councillor Watkins that they are ambassadors for Hastings, and first and foremost. So we loved having everybody there to welcome our new 90 employees to Splash Planet. We also talked about all sorts of how Fantasyland started, who built it, and to understand that history and share it was very important. The Pride of Workmanship Awards I've talked about, held by the Rotary, Storford Lodge Rotary this week, was incredible. And we've also had Matai Medical Research Institute, Shaping the Future of Medical Research, attended. Thank you to Councillor Apatu for attending on our behalf. And that, last but not least, we're very proud to announce Evans Awards. Toi Toi has been recognised again as the best small venue in New Zealand. Here's to our Toi Toi team. And our team, one of our team, Dane, has been recognised as a team member of the year. So well done to Dane. We're very proud of him. Thank you. And that concludes my report. Happy to move from the chair. Do I have a seconder, please? Councillor Kerr. Any questions? I'm sorry if we've missed anything. It's been a busy month. I have a mover and a second. All those in favour, please say aye. Oh, Councillor Hickey, sorry.
Aroha mai nāku te he, katuhi ki te mati o tātou, tātou nei rangatira Robert Sturge I mati ana, nā reira haere atu ki paero haere ki ana mātua tūpuna. Your Worship, I'd just like to acknowledge Principal Robert Sturge, who passed away yesterday, and a public notice went out, and just like to acknowledge him here. Whilst you've reminded me about all the schools that have been celebrated and the principals that have been acknowledged, Principal Rob Sturge, as I know, has been a significant member in our community for over 21 years as a principal, and I'd just like to take the opportunity to acknowledge him whilst we're here. Kia ora tātou.
Thank you very much, Councillor Hickey, an amazing principal of Hastings Boys High School, and who will be greatly missed. I've put those recommendations. All those in favour, please say aye. Any against? Thank you. That's carried. Item number 6 brings us to a very, very important acknowledgement of service today, and I'd like to invite up our very own Les Hewitt. And Ron, did you want to come up too? Oh, Les, come on up here. Come on up here. And Councillor Wendy Sholem. And today we have a very, very special acknowledgement to welcome Les and acknowledge his service to our region for the last few years, many, many years. And I'm going to ask Wendy to read a citation and to talk about Les's journey. But for me, I served as a councillor with the Positive Ageing Trust Hawke's Bay, and we were a dynamic team, just as Wendy has been, with Positive Ageing Trust. But it's been people like Les, who has, and Ron, who have kept the trust going and have found purpose to ways to look after our seniors today and into the future. So today we acknowledge the incredible efforts of Les, and we'll ask Wendy now if she could read out Les's service to us as our community of Hawke's Bay.
Thank you, Your Worship. And thank you, Les, for showing up today. I know you have growled us quite a bit before this has begun, but we need to acknowledge your service. And I will say what I'm about to read out is very much an amended and concise version of what Les has done and for our community, because actually we'd be here all day if I kept reading. So it's with great privilege that I read out that Hastings District Council today is recognising the outstanding service of Mr. Les James Hewitt, who has provided the Hastings District and the wider Hawke's Bay community service over many years. Mr. Hewitt's service to the community extends back as far as 1961, when he was a national councillor for the New Zealand Printing Trades Union. His union association continued for many years from there, and I could list countless organisations. Mr. Hewitt was also the Secretary and National Councillor for the Hawke's Bay Trades Council and New Zealand Federation of Labour. In 1969, he was appointed as Hawke's Bay's youngest Justice of the Peace. Mr. Hewitt's services to the disabled community commenced in 1976 when he joined the Rehabilitation League New Zealand Inc. as Hospital Rehabilitation Officer and established the Hospital Rehabilitation Officer Service in Hawke's Bay. His work with the disabled also includes association with the Napier Disabled Persons Assembly and New Zealand Writing for the Disabled. Mr. Hewitt has been a long-standing trustee of the Hawke's Bay Positive Ageing Trust, where I've had the great privilege of serving with him for the past 5 years. The trust was formed in 1989, but I was unable to work out exactly when you became a trustee, Les.
Me either.
Okay, it wasn't just me. The mission of the trust is to offer senior citizens the chance to stand on their own feet without loss of dignity, and have done a number of great initiatives throughout the years. It is only in the past few years that Mr. Hewitt's health has affected his ability to fully participate in local affairs, but that actually hasn't stopped him. As I mentioned, he has been a staunch member of the Positive Ageing Trust Hawke's Bay, and he also is part of the Hastings branch of the Royal New Zealand Air Force Association, where he remains their acting secretary and newsletter editor. Mr. Hewitt has a long-standing record of service to our community, and I am so pleased to join Mayor Sandra and the Hastings District Council in acknowledging his outstanding contribution to the Hastings community.
Thank you, everybody.
Now, Les, we have a very special pin here,
Another one.
and this is I know you've already got a civic honour from our Napier Council, but this is a Hastings civic honour, so it has great importance.
Any money come with it?
And we thank you for your incredible service to our seniors
Thank you.
in Hawke's Bay.
Thank you very much.
Les.
Thank you, Sandra.
Thank you. Would you like to say a couple of words?
Well, if I'd known it was going to be this formal, I would have prepared some notes, and then you'd know when I was going to finish. Now I have an open invitation to speak.
You do. You do.
Thank you, Mayor Sandra, Wendy, ladies and gentlemen. You've heard a potted history of just some of the things that I've done in my short lifetime. I was 90 just last Monday.
Yay!
My first association with Hastings was in 1955 when I captained the Napier third grade representative team against Hastings. We won one game each, but the Hastings Rugby Union pulled a dirty trick on us by enlisting the Te Aute first 15. Other than that, because I lived in Napier, I did not fail to be involved in Hastings. And I was associated, of course, with the Hastings Riding for the Disabled at Paki, at the Hastings Fallen Soldiers Hospital. For a number of years, I worked with Sister Jamison in the rehabilitation ward and attended weekly meetings of the orthopaedic department on the second floor every week. And my role was to assist patients who were getting ready to leave hospital to return to their former employment or actually go out and find another job for them. And I appeared to be quite successful at that. I worked for the unions, as Wendy has said, and one of them was the New Zealand Food Processing Workers. And I was responsible, after Sonia Davies, to look after the employment concerns of the workers at Watties, Unilever, that used to be in William Street. There'd probably be people in Hastings that possibly don't know that Unilever used to be here. There was a small cannery and processing plant at Havelock, and of course a lot of development down Omahu Road. In the Rehabilitation League, we were responsible for the training of people with disabilities to return either to their home in a much better capacity or else go into employment. And we had a marvellous complex in Napier funded as a quango by the Department of Social Welfare. And despite getting about 40 people a month into employment or training, in the early 60s, the government decided to close the Rehabilitation League down, and we had 4 centres, Auckland, Wellington, Christchurch and Dunedin, besides Napier, and we serviced Hastings with a 12-seater bus every day. So there were a large number of Hastings people who were helped by the Rehabilitation League over the years. I was roped into the job with the Hawke's Bay Trust for the Elderly. We used to meet in this room, and I received a very nice letter from the then secretary, Mrs. Van Ash, inviting me to take the place of the Mayor of Napier, Mrs. Barbara Arnott. She wanted to sit down, and they must have thought I was the most suitable candidate. I didn't hear them say they'd written to anybody else. However, be that as it may, one of the highlights of my career was 20 years in Toastmasters International, rising through to be the District Governor of New Zealand and receiving an International President's Award for services to Toastmasters in New Zealand. Wow. And if any of you people still have public speaking concerns, get out to your local Toastmasters club. It's the greatest organisation for sliced bread to help people develop their self-confidence and speak in and to speak in front of a large audience. And look at me, I'm still shaking after 20 odd years of this. I could go on, but I won't, because I know you'd rather be working, slaving under the tutelage of your mayor. My wife wants me home. I have to take her to the hairdresser later. And having been married for 62 years, I don't dare say I'll be late. So once again, I just sincerely thank you for the opportunity to join with you this afternoon. This was most unexpected. I was just told by certain people, Wendy, that the Mayor wanted to talk to me. Well, she's done a little bit of talking, nothing personally, so I gave her my personal profile to make sure she didn't miss anything out. So thank you, everybody. The honour is really appreciated.
Les, on behalf of Hastings District Grey Power and the positive ageing absentees that were invited to be here this afternoon, we are going to miss you very, very much. You've just emphasised to us your ability of speaking and things like that, and your knowledge that you've given to positive ageing has been outstanding. So I will miss you, and I wish you and your wife all the very best for the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Ron.
Thank you, Ron.
Thank you, Ron.
We thought you might like a little bit of, or so we can give that to somebody else, but, you know, there's a little something.
You've got to celebrate your 90th.
Can I let you into a secret?
Go on.
Yes.
About 2 months ago, when I went to see my GP, she said to me, I think it's time you gave up drinking. The only thing I was drinking was a nip of scotch every afternoon at 4:30 with my wife, and every time the All Blacks played, my son and I would drink a couple to make sure that the boys won. On Saturday week, my family took me to the Mission Restaurant
Oh.
to celebrate the birthday. My daughter flew in from Auckland and she had a bottle of 12-year-old Glenfiddich. Not to be outdone, my son, I only have one of each, my son gave me a very large bottle of Old Pulteney Scotch. And so now I've got to go back to my doctor and lie to her that I've been on the wagon for at least 3 months.
Well done.
I can always raffle with this, I expect, and give it the proceeds to the Positive Aging Trust.
Well, that's all right, we could too. Yes.
Thank you.
Fabulous.
Thank
Thank you so
you.
much. What an absolute legend. How proud are we of Les and everything he's done for our wider region. Thank you, Les. We have recommendations on page 10. Wendy, I'm sure you'd like to move those recommendations. Have a seconder, please. Thank you. See you, Rom. Bye, Les. I'll have a seconder. Thank you. Councillor Butto, all those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Any against? Thank you. That's carried. Our tuia, very warm welcome. And to you, Tara, I think you're going to bring our team up. Casey and Javan, and we've got a little presentation here. And can I just say that while we've got an end-of-year report and our tuia have come to the end of their year as our incredible young Māori rangatahi leaders, I have absolutely loved working with these two fine gentlemen. They have been extraordinarily positive, visionary, and I've watched their development and growth over the last year. They are now leading tuia across Aotearoa and emceeing, and they will carry on with the tuia program in some way for the future. And they would like to share their report with you and talk to you about the year. So very warm welcome to you both. Kia ora.
Se pira? Perfect. Okay. Kia ora tātou. Start off a bit of a karakia and mihi in it. We'll get into PPI, then me and J1 will just bounce on our experiences of tuia and hopefully we don't bore you. Yeah, we'll try and be quick and concise, but knowing us, we won't. But yeah. Tihe mauri ora, tihe ururi, tihe nako nako. Kātu katau haha te rangi e tūnei, kātu katau haha te papeta kotonei. Kātou te mātuku mai i rarotunga. Ko iei roku hi amanoa pau roto. Ko iei roku hi amanoa pau waho whakatina kia tina te muri Hawaii kia papuana hoki e wawangana hoki. Tāre watu ki te rangi, au e kia e ke tangaroa, e ke panuku, whāno, haramai te toki, haumi e hui e a tae ki. Ko te mea tuatahi me mi kātika, kia koutou katoa ngā tangata, ngā kānuhi, matarai o te kaunihira nei, o here taunga, haro te kāhu, here taunga rarau, here taunga takotono, me mihi kātika, kia koutou i ngā manaakitanga, i a maua, i tēnei haerenga, matua. I just want to mihi to you guys for your guys' support on our journey is trying to develop in the leadership space, especially coming from a place like Hastings. Opportunities like this don't always come across, so we feel very, very privileged. We'll start with some PPI, then we'll get into our journey. So, kia ora tātou, ko Casey Corns kohu tōku ingoa, he uri tēnei no tauranga moana, ngā Ngāti Ranginui, Ngāti Kauhungunu, te nehe nui, from Waikato Tainui, East Coast, Ngāti Porou, or Waipiro Bay. Koe rā tāku, kia ora, my name is Casey Corns kohu. We've met before, but it's been a while. So I'll descend from heaps of places over the Hawke's Bay, from Wairoa, Mohaka, coming up to these ways, also from the East Coast, Waikato, Tainui, so Te Awamutu, those sort of regions. Yeah, and also descends from, on my mother's side, from England, Ireland, Cornwall, Ireland, England, Ireland, Wales, Cornwall, and a beautiful place at the top of Scotland called Caithness and the Orkney Islands. So, kura taku, that's me. Pass it to my friend.
Tēnā koe. Tēnā tātou e aku rangatira. I just wanted to quickly, before I introduce myself, I just wanted to acknowledge the smiles in this whare today. This is the same feeling I had when I first started this kaupapa, so kia ora. Ko ai hau, ko J1 tōku ingoa, heuru no Hiratanga, ko kahurana ki te manga, ko tuki te awa, ko mate hiwi te marae, ko Ngāti Kahununu, me Ngāti Porau, me Ngāti Tūwharai Tō, me Ngāpui, me Ngā Tūhoi, Ngā Iwi. Ai, kia ora, that's me. Yeah.
Hey, so we'll get into it. So for those of us who don't know, the Tuia program is an annual program that stretches from the top of the North Island to the bottom of the South Island, collecting young rangatahi, young leaders or potential leaders from all around the country, whether it's from councils, whether it's from organisations, businesses, and collectivising these young people. And there's about 5 wānanga that happen throughout the year from all around the country. So whether it's down south in Otago, whether it's up north, whether it's in Te Awamatu, all these places, collectivising these rangatahi to make connections and develop networking for the future. So that as we come into these sort of spaces, we have people to draw from. We have pools of knowledge to learn from. And so this year's been no exception for us. It's been a privilege. And we had a bit of a rocky start at the start, as we all know. The tumultuous nature of 2023 with our Cyclone Gabrielle that sort of made everything go left field. So for us, there was no exception. And so this kaupapa actually started without us. So all around the country, we had Tuia i Runga, our first wānanga, and the majority of the other Tuia recipients, the Tuia rangatai, all got together in the Waikato, and because of what was happening here, we weren't able to. We had other priorities. We were in lockdown mode pretty much, just into it. So our journey actually started in our second wānanga, and that being Tuia i Raro. And so J1 will talk about it.
O tēnā koutou. Yeah, so as we made our way up to this podium right here today, was the same feeling we had when coming into Tuia i Raro. So we were very nervous. We didn't know what to expect. We were very much in the grey space. So landing in the land of Rotorua, we established connections to kōrero, whanaungatanga, experiencing the authenticity of karakia through pohuri, skits, and taonga pūoro. Taonga pūoro was one of the many activities we got to partake into the Tuia i Raro. It was Casey and I's activity that we got to do, where we made a porotiti, and also just learning about the whakapapa, the history of Taonga Pūoro. And coming into that space, so Tuia i Raro was weaving from below, and that sense, what that means to us is basically how, as we as rangatai, can give off to our next generation. And yeah, so after that, we had a bit of a rocky return back home, but that was all good. And yeah, we'll now shift on to Tuia i Roto, which came to the South Island.
Yeah. So after that was our first introduction, and J1 didn't mention, and probably on purpose, but I'll say it anyway. When we went into that space, everyone had already met each other, so we were very, very aware of that, and we knew that we were going into a space where people had already created connections. And so we're quite privileged in this space. There's 2 of us, and a lot of other councils, there's normally 1 Tuia. So we were very privileged, and we sort of made a decision, almost unspoken, that when we go into this, we're going to act like we already know everyone. You know, we know them from way back. So we're going, oh no, how's family, how's wife, and so yeah, well, like if we come and just act as if we've been here the whole time, and sure enough, everyone will think that we've been there too. And yeah, pretty much worked. Yeah, we got in, and yeah, everyone seemed like they knew us from way back, and yeah, it was good for us. All these things that we were doing, and then after that, we got to sort of debrief and come home, and sort of we actually understood what the kaupapa was about. Oftentimes when it comes to Māori kaupapa, it sounds good, and then you go into it, and really it's all, what it's perceived to be and what it actually is quite two different sets and standards. And so for us to see the authenticity within it, it was quite awesome. We came back ecstatic. It really, really propelled our own development in terms of business growth, those sort of things, leadership qualities. And so after that, we were eager to get back to our next one, Tue Roto, which was in the South Island. We all know Dunedin, on the peninsula of Dunedin and Ōtākau. We went down to Marae down there, beautiful place. It was snowing, first time I seen snow. Fun story, I was actually having a shower. While everyone was talking inside, I was sort of slipped out to go have a shower. And then I seen the window, and I seen this just this thing outside, and I looked out and it was snowing, so I was outside in a towel, video calling my partner, going, "It's snowing!" But apart from that, it was quite awesome. Tue Roto, the whole concept of it is to weave within, and so we have about, on average, maybe 60 rangatahi from around the country, all put into this one big room, this one big whare, and you get as much time as you want, essentially, to get up and talk about your life story and what you've learned and the lessons and those sort of things. And so it was quite a deep and personal space. We're going on this journey with other people from around the country, so I think it was very vital for us to know their backgrounds and know how we could relate. And so, in that space, we got to really develop friendships that I think are going to be lifelong. And so, feel very, very privileged for that. My highlight, we've seen some seals down there, and it was quite sad actually, but seen some seals, and I'll go back. A couple of people went down to the beach, it's just around the corner, come back and go, "Oh, there's some seals, there's two male or two adult seals and a baby seal come down." So we all go down. As we go down, we see two adult seals and they're eating something. And some of the girls on the trip, they're like, "Oh, that's so beautiful." Rah, rah, rah. And I knew straight away, I was like, "Oh, should we be watching this?" And so those sort of things. But it was really, really beautiful experiences. We got to learn about whakapapa and the connections of our waitaha or ngaitahu whānau to us as Tamati Ariki Nui or Ngāti Kahungunu. So Kahungunu, who we come from, is a descendant of Tahu Pōtiki and Paraurangi, so it was cool to make that connection for us. Move over to the next one.
Coming in, so just before I move into Tuioi Waho, so Tuioi Roto, within. I noticed there was a few things. I also got to experience snow as well, so that was quite neat. I was actually sitting there while we were listening to a speech, and I was more concentrated outside than I was with the speech, because I just wanted to go out there and play in the snow. But also to Casey and we were able to take up some leadership positions while within that wānanga, so it really showcased that we as kahungunu, we're here to try and emphasise that and be confident. So it was really neat to be in that space. Coming into Tuioi Waho was actually here in Hawke's Bay, where it was hosted at Pukemoki Marae. So it was really befitting for us as Hawke's Bay, as Heretaunga, for Tuioi Waho, because Tuioi Waho means weeding from without. And weeding from without is giving back to our community, our hapori, our iwi. And so for us as our rangatahi, we all went on our little excursions. Where I was a part of Pepe Mara Kaifo Hui, where we had Councillor Charles Ropatini helped us give us a bit of a whakapapa, a bit of a nice introduction into the Paki world. So that was really cool, I must say. A lot of hard sweats, tears, blood maybe, but it was really neat to give back, and it was really heartwarming for us, especially from what we experienced earlier this year. So, other than that, I'll shift it over to Casey.
So my experience was very similar. We had excursions, so there were about 6 excursions at the same time. So you got to choose what really related to you. And for me, I chose to go and go up to the Kiwi Sanctuary out in Ocean Beach. Got to learn a bit more about our own backyard. I've gone that way hundreds of times of going out to Waimarama, and you sort of take for granted how beautiful Hawke's Bay is until you see other people who aren't from Hawke's Bay talking about how good it is. And it's like, here it is, eh? It's actually, yeah, it's not too bad, eh? Not too shabby. So, yeah, it was pretty cool. I got to see Kākāriki up on the sanctuary, got to see how they do, pest removal, restoration of trees and forests and stuff like that. So it was a really, really awesome experience. And then our last one ended up happening in Kaihungunu as well, but in the Wairarapa, Greytown and Papawai. And the last one's called Tuia Te Here Tangata. And I don't even want to attempt at translating it. Here Tangata, the collectivism of people. And so it's weaving ourselves within each other. And so at that one, it's a big time where we get to say thank you to everyone that's helped us along this journey. That's one of the biggest outcomes of it. It's the last time for the majority of us to see each other. As we all know, life happens. You plan to catch up with someone of next year, 4 years later, and you see them in passing. So it was a real good time for us to just celebrate what we had accomplished for the year, as well as, give back to those who have given to us. And so we're very, very privileged to have Rajlana Apatu come down and support us on behalf of you guys. And it really meant the world to us. We worked very, very hard trying to make sure that our last wānanga worked well. I was fortunate enough to be put, voluntold per se, to be an MC. So it was my first time ever MCing a gig, and ended up rising to the occasion and giving it a go. Likewise, Javon sort of took a leadership role in the kapaka space. We ended up doing a whole bracket from all of us around the country, leading a couple of waiata. One of our friends who wasn't able to come, he actually wrote a waiata for the kaupapa, and so we were able to put chords to it and bring it to life. So it was a really, really important and special place for us. And I think personally that's where I had the most development in the most recent one. But,
must say, just to quickly point out, Casey here, he did a really exceptional job at MC, a lot of compliments in that, and just saying on a low note, I think Councillor Ropatini over there might have a bit of a competition with the MC. But other than that, it was a great experience alongside the last one, and also alongside my mates here, Casey. Also been in that leadership kapaka space, and I must acknowledge Aotearoa for the bracket they did at the events that day. It took us only 2 days to learn a whole brand new waiata and also be able to collaborate everything else. So really big shout out to them. Coming to the thank yous as well, we believe we have a few acknowledgements we would like to make. First and foremost, we would like to acknowledge Mayor Sandra Hazelhurst for being the backbone for us throughout this whole kaupapa. If you didn't have us beside you, I'm pretty sure we'll be wandering out doing something. But no, it's been a huge privilege. Also being able to invite us to events. It felt really weird to me personally, being in a space where we get invited, especially in the VIP area. I felt a bit weird. I wanted to come back into the background. But other than that, we do solemnly appreciate you for that. We also like to make acknowledgements to all of our councillors, Councillor Heke, Councillor Ana Apatu, Councillor Jessup and Councillor Nepe, but also we like to make a very special acknowledgement to Tara. Because Tara's been our backbone. She's always kept us in line at times. Make sure you get that report in, all useful will. But no, other than that, she's been our main communicator, and we'd like to thank you especially for that.
Yeah, and on that note, Tara, mōku nei, me ka tika ki a koe mō mātauranga, mō i awhi nei mauwa. It's been awesome to have someone in the space sort of giving us direction and giving us support. When it comes to leadership roles, it's actually, we all know it's not about the one person at the front, it's everyone else behind them. It's the machine that makes the cogs go round and round just for the face. So although we seem to be the face of Tuia, there's a lot of people behind us making sure that the cogs are working and we're not stalling. So you're one of them, one of our main ones, and thank you, Tara, for that. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah, just to...
And yeah, for anyone else that's interested in the Tuia Kaupapa, if ever want to learn anything more about it, I would highly advise you guys to learn a bit more and share the kaupapa. It's so awesome. It's genuinely changed my life. I don't say that half-heartedly. Having those real life discussions and deliberations with other people in similar spaces, it's been quite good. It's quite hard for us to talk to people that are youth that are interested in these sort of spaces. It's quite uncommon nowadays. Everyone wants to be a TikTok star or a YouTuber. So it's been real cool for us, and I've taken personally a lot away from it. I've decided changing careers. So I'm starting my own business and doing stuff like that, actively pursuing that. The Kaupapa has been truly life-changing and very holistic. It's not just a one-dimensional thing. It's quite broad and it affects all parts of your life. So thank you for that. Yeah.
Kia ora. Thank you for your kōrero and your report, and we are blessed to have leaders for the future. Our conversations at our breakfasts, I've never had conversations with young leaders like some of our kōrero that we had, talking about looking after our people for the future, what influences government can have, community can have, and the conversation around us having our first rangatahi conference next year. Nigel's already got some external funding for us to get cracking, but how cool that Hiritonga, with your leadership, will have our first conference for young people here in our district. So part of the kaupapa is giving back and doing that community service, and so the team have decided that that's what they'd like to have, is an inspiring conference for young people. So we're all ready to go. So thank you for your wonderful report, and Councillor Hicking, I'd like to hear from you. Thank you.
E te piko tangi wha, a tēnei te mihi hoki ki a koe, a me te wakataki tumu, ka tū ka mihi ki a kōrua, ka maumahara te hononga o te wakataki tumu, ki a tainui, nā reira, e mi ana hoki ki a kōrua, ngā rangatira moa pōpō. Tuia I runga, tuia I raro, tuia I roto, tuia I waho. Tuia te muka tangata, I tā ki a mai, a Hawaii ki nui, a Hawaii ki roa, a Hawaii ki pāmāmau. Nā reira, ngā rangatira o te kaupapa tuia, e mi ana hoki ki a kōrua. Ka maumahara te whakatauki, ka whati te tai, ka pau te tōria. Nā reira, e ki ana te whakatauki o ngā tikau nunu, whai ai te tikau rangi, ki te tuau koe me he maunga teitei. Nā reira, kai a kōrua te ao, kei roto I aoringa, hei kai. Nā reira, he mi ana hoki ki a koutou, kia kaha ki a kōrua, kia kaha ki a maia ki a manua nui. There's a Māori saying that says, when the tide recedes, the oyster beds are shown. And the oyster, the manu, the oyster catcher will strike. So the world is your oyster, in reference to that. And there's another saying is, if you are too proud to let it be to a lofty mountain. So aha koa ngā heke me ngā peke, kia tika te rere o kōrua waka. No matter the ups or downs, a cyclone, a hurricane, an earthquake, an eruption, steer the waka straight. Cease what is yours and come back to us so that you can be the next councillor like Councillor Ropatini over here. But might I say, as two young, handsome men of the Waka Tainui and Kahununu, our future is bright. For I tell you now, as a tāne Māori, there aren't many of our rangatahi who aspire to be in your shoes, who have presented themselves in council, have taken the opportunity of tuia, but we hope that more come behind you. E tika nā tōko o kōrua kōro. Tā pai ki muri, tā pai ki mua. If things are done all right at the back, then things look great at the front. So taura, he tuku mihi ki a koe. Koutou, ngā kaitiaki, ngā kaimanaki, all the guardians and guides. Thank you. Mai te waka o tāki timu, mai ngā kai kauni hira katoa, tēnā o kōrua, tēnā kōrua, tēnā kōrua.
Kia ora. Thank you, Henry. Anna, do you want to add anything?
O tēnā tātou katoa, just to acknowledge the pair of you. Casey, you mentioned that it meant the world of you that I came down at your graduation wānanga. It also meant the world of me to step in and see you as leaders amongst the leaders. It was by no accident, Casey, that you were called on to be the MC of the day. And Javan leading all the kapahaka and everything that you did as well on the day. We are so fortunate to have these two. I'm not biased, maybe a little, but they were clearly above the other Tuia level for me. So I acknowledge you. You hung in there with us. It was a bit rocky at times, you mentioned that. What I also learnt that Tepene Cotterill was a graduate of the Tuia program, who sits on the Heretaunga Takatanoa committee, and he was a big part of facilitating the Puki Moki Marae wānanga. So to acknowledge you and wish you all the very best. We must continue as Tuia, I'm sold. You listen to these two, kapai you two.
Kia ora. Ngā mihi nui. Thank you, Anna. Thank you, team, and thank you for your amazing time at what we've learned so much from you as you've learned from us, and we look forward to our next year, 2024, and what we do together. This isn't to the end, this is just the beginning. Ngā mihi, kia ora koutou. Henry, would you like to move the recommendation?
Happy to move.
Thank you.
Worship.
Councillor Apatu, a second. Thank you. I'll put that recommendation. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Any against? Thank you. That's carried. We're moving on now to item number 8, and this is the building consent approach. Cyclone Gabrielle, commercial buildings, getting the guidance. I think, John, you've got Nathan coming through? Okay, here he is. Cool. Good afternoon, Nathan.
Good afternoon, councillors, Your Worship. I'll really take the report as read, and I guess we were a little bit apprehensive when we first started down this route and how we're going to do with commercial building consents, but the more we worked through the consents, we really found the big issue was, and the kind of critical decision making, was about residential sleeping buildings and that issue of intolerable risk to life. So it's actually made our job a lot easier having that guidance. So we're reasonably confident now that we can deal with Category 1, 2 commercial buildings, but in Category 3 we're going to be a little bit more careful with anything that could involve essentially a possible risk to life. So the likes of your normal kind of implement sheds that you find through the East Valley, you know, for mechanical equipment, Tony's been dealing with a smoko facility, things like that, where people aren't staying overnight. We'll work those through and they'll get consents, and obviously some of the properties may be tagged, but largely I think we've come to a good kind of position which we're comfortable with, and we can deal with the consents that we feel won't present that intolerable risk to life. So I'm more than happy, and Tony as well, to answer any questions that you may have, and Nathan's sitting there. So if we've got any difficult legal questions, I think we need to fire them up there. So,
thank you.
Thank you.
Councillor Kerr.
Kia ora, thank you. And through you, Madam Mayor, I'm concerned that the judgment regarding what is high risk, medium risk and low risk is rather subjective, and I'm interested in what's the procedure and the framework and the protections for our staff to ensure that they make the right call.
So we're very lucky in that we've worked out some operational procedures, and so what happens is the building processing officer will go through the consent, work through all the issues, and then they'll come to a position on. So say for instance, we've got one sitting in front of us, it's a 2C category in Pakowhai, and it is for, I think, 42 or 50, is it?
42, I think.
42 RSC workers. And so we'll work our way through that, come to recommendation, and then that'll go on to the panel that that Nathan's established with a building expert and also a what was the other one? Engineer, and they'll also look at it. So what we're doing is we're going to put them through that process at the start, and what we've learned from the other categories was over time you start to see a clear pattern emerging.
Great, thank you. Councillor Apatu?
Thank you, Your Worship. Now that you've worked through the process of being able to give consents, could you give us some reassurance that it won't be a very tardy, lengthy, complex process?
Yes, I think the first few difficult ones will be, and being honest about that, because we'll be careful to work through all those issues. But once we've got our, not quite what the right term is our kind of jib cut and understand what we're doing, we can get them going through much, much quicker. Yeah.
Any other questions or comments, councillors? Is everyone quite comfortable with the direction?
Well, I don't think we can let Mr. Spear get away without a question, surely.
Especially with the moustache. I apologise for that.
Yeah, November. That's impressive, Nathan. All right. So everyone's comfortable with the direction, Councillor Sholin?
Thank you, Worship. Not a question, just a comment that how important this piece of work is in our recovery, and I'd like to acknowledge the work that has been put in. It is a complex area with lots of fish hooks, and I appreciate that the best has been done, and I'm very happy to move.
Thank you, Councillor Sholin. Councillor Kerr?
I'm happy to second, and I'll throw a big question at Nathan just so he doesn't feel left out. Nathan, what is the greatest risk when it comes to this policy that we're going to sign off, or we may sign off?
I actually think this is the easy decision for you. The previous decision or endorsement you made was much more complicated in terms of risk. I think the biggest risk with this is delay, and I'm pleased that question came up earlier. And I have to say I'm going to play quite a significant part of that, because I'm part of the panel that will be recommending whether these building consents should be approved or not. So if there is delay, I do expect to be back before you and answering questions myself as much as John and his team are. But apart from that, I think this is quite a straightforward process, and all the heavy lifting was done in regards to residential consents.
Thank you very much, Nathan. Oh, we've got Councillor Corbyn.
Thank you, Your Worship. It's just occurred to me, we've been talking about the greatest risk being people sleeping there, night, etc. In the commercial operation, which can be quite seasonal, has there been any consideration to people working at night in a commercial building and what risk that would impose?
Yes, you can see in the report we talk about heavy loading buildings. So one of the ones that would concern us would be, say, for instance, you had a pack house that ran 3 8-hour shifts, and those people were working inside the pack house, and they really work in a bubble. They don't really know what's going on outside. So that would be one that we'd have concerns over. We're working through the process with, I think it's a Mr. Apple, has got a pack house in the back, is it Gilbertson or Sissons? Yep, but we believe that because the actual structure took a real pounding, it's a portal structure and has been badly knocked around, they are reconsidering whether they stay there. Yeah. So we will, the funny thing about life is we'll get consent for activities that we're not aware of yet, and we'll just have to work our way through them. Yeah.
Great, thank you. All right, thank you very much. We have a mover and a second. I'll put those recommendations. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Any against? Thank you, that's carried. Thank you for joining us today, Nathan, and thank you, John and Tony. Welcome to Marius. This is item number 9. This is as we look at the Te Mata Peak Road Management Corridor and the implementation of a plan. And I note that this plan has been worked in many, many iterations since 2019. But it is, you know, what will go into our long-term plan. And perhaps Councillor Watkins, who chaired the meeting, might like to share an insight into the community's response.
Thank you, Worship. Yes, I am very happy to do that. Meeting was held in Havelock a fortnight ago. More than 50 people attended. I think it was a very robust presentation of what we had proposed for that area, which had a price tag of $23 million, which in this day and environment was just not acceptable. That was not going to fly. The community were very realistic and have appreciated this revised strategy we have here. The price tag of just on $7 million. So from a community point of view, I think there was a very responsible response to the situation we're in and what we propose. So I feel very confident what we're looking at today is acceptable by the community.
Thank you very much. Good to hear. Thank you, Councillor Watkins. Councillor Redstone.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'm just interested in some of the numbers, particularly around contingency and escalation, which amount to $2.5 million, which is actually a third of the total cost of the project. And I'm wondering why you wouldn't have contracts that were tight and not allow for that amount of money. It's just curious to know.
To answer that question, if you look at the environment where the construction is proposed, it is a very difficult topography along a very narrow road, which we need to keep open. And if you then think about the complexities of building large-scale retaining walls in that environment, and that is why we've allowed for some extra contingencies in that space. And then also just a comment, the pricing we've got in the report is based sort of November 22 when I was doing my calculations. And since then, we know the construction costs in the transportation sector has increased by about 30%. And so I guess if I go back to the drawing board, have another look at these numbers, we will see numbers that is probably significantly higher than what we have in the report as presented here.
Thank you, Marius. That helps.
Thank you. Councillor Harvey.
Yeah, thank you. Marius, this dates back to 2019 or something, apparently, when this was first mooted. And there's just been the recent consultation, which the main audience there were the residents of that area, 58 odd. Can you just give me some background to what consultation has taken place with active recreation users? It's just that road is, you know, a walking or biking route as well, which I realised last week when I biked to the other car park, which was closed, so I had to go back up the road to up the peak. And, you know, there is quite a lot of that traffic as well. So if we are scaling back a plan, what are they aware of in relation to that, please?
So during the corridor management plan, and if you look at the dates, so it goes back to 2019, and then we did another one in 2021. There was some wide consultation, and remember we had some drop-in sessions at the Tamara Peak Functions, Havelock Function Centre. All-day sessions where it was well attended. I think we got some really good attendance numbers. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but also during the consultation we sent some correspondence to the cycling groups in the Hawke's Bay, and we got limited response from them about the proposal to look at, you know, what are the needs up on Tamara Peak Road. I am aware that there are an element of cyclists still cycling up there. This is more your experienced road cyclists, and they typically do it as a fitness challenge. And when we are proposing to do the area-wide pavements at a later stage on that road, when we do widening where we can, we will do some shoulder widening to provide some better road safety and environment for cyclists.
Are you confirming that they were consulted with when it was the full option?
Corridor plan, yes.
Now that it's been reduced, they won't be aware of that?
I suppose we still have an opportunity to go back to them and just advise them of the council decision. The consultation as we had was primarily with the residents on the lower Tamara Peak from Simla Ave to the Tamara Peak Park. And it was to advise them of firstly this decision and then the proposed project that we want to start in September next year to reconstruct the lower 850 meters from off Tamara Peak Road. Primarily there's a big safety issue there. We're having continuous accidents there. And just to address the pavement issues that we have in that section. There's also at the meeting, and Councillor Watkins can confirm that we had quite a few comments about the speed that people see people visiting Tamara Park, and there's a particular section, Boy Racer, if you like, element there that drives at high speed in that road, and there was a lot of requests for putting in speed bumps, and so we're looking at that option right now to deploy in the order of 6 to 10 speed bumps all the way up, and that is work that's ongoing with the area-wide project that I'm proposing. I will have some further communications with the residents to show them the locations and get some feedback from them, and then roll that out with the area-wide work that's proposed.
It has been moved in date, but an active transport committee meeting coming up, and it would be preferable if you came to that.
I'm happy to do a presentation
to those key players. Thank you.
Thank you. I think that'd be very helpful. Just to remind me, probably you, Mr. Allen, if this amount, or Craig, this will go into the LTP for consideration with our community, and we will consult on it with the wider community. Is that right?
That is correct.
Okay, so our wider community will have the opportunity to voice their views through the LTP, if this, that's what council wishes to do today. Councillor Dixon.
Yeah, thank you, Worship. Marius, thank you for an excellent presentation to the community. It was very well received by that wider community, as Councillor Watkins summarised for us. Thank you for mentioning the speed humps. It wasn't mentioned in your report, and I'm pleased you're going to address that matter. That was something that came up at the community meeting. From the Tamara Peak Trust Board, they would like access closed from Peak House to the top during the hours of darkness. Is that possible to be included, and how do you go about doing that?
Through you, Your Worship. If we're aware of the Trust's had desires in that space, and also the work that the Trust is looking at in terms of the future of Tamata Peak, to change the current closure limit above Peak House, if we just simplify it, depending on whether the Trust would like it at the main gates or above Peak House, that requires a special process under the under legislation, which has a whole community participation and feedback, and so that council would have to launch into change of road closure legal process. Sorry, not very eloquently put, but it's quite a big process for council to choose to launch into, get community feedback. We can, for councillors' interest, pull through the exercise from last time and share the feedback from last time, and that may inform a decision if you would like us to add that to the work program for next year.
Just to follow up, if I may, Your Worship, can that be part of the corridor management plan that we're currently proceeding with?
Yes.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. So we take that as an action. Councillor Kerr.
My apologies, I hadn't turned it off.
Councillor Watkins.
Thank you, Worship. If there's no further questions, I'm happy to move.
Watkins, seconder. Thank you, Councillor Dixon. Any further questions or comments? I'll put those recommendations. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Any against? Thank you. That's carried. Thank you very much, Marius. Thank you for the team. Great to get to see some progress happening. Item 10 is the Lagoima request. Welcome to Louise. Thank you for allowing us to understand the time taken for each of the Lagoimas. That extra column, that's been very helpful from last month's actions. Councillor, so does anyone have any questions on Lagoimas? Councillor Kerr.
Not so much a question, but just an acknowledgement. Thank you. I think at last council meeting I asked about the effort and time and cost of providing this to the community, and I note the hours are down the side, and I do appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Kerr. You wish to move?
Happy to move, Your
Thank
Worship.
you. Have a seconder? Councillor Nixon? You happy to second? Oh, thank you. No further questions or comments. I'll put those recommendations. All those in favour, please say aye. Any against? Thank you. That's carried. Moving on to item 11, and this is the proposed amendments to the meeting schedule. Thank you, Councillor Nixon. And there's only one that's commencing at 10 a.m. on Thursday the 14th, the last council meeting for the year. Mr. Cameron? At this stage. At this stage, yes, righto. No, not at this stage. Councillor Watkins? Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Nixon, Councillor Watkins. I'll put those recommendations. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Any against? Thank you. That's carried. Councillor Kerr, you're right there. Good. Item number 12, no minor items. And item number 13, there are no urgent items. And now we would invite Mr. Allen. We look to go into a public excluded part of our agenda item today, and could you explain the reasons to our community why this item should be in public excluded? Thank you.
Through Your Worship, the reason for this is we're negotiating with the landlord over tenancy terms, and to do that, they're commercially sensitive, and would prefer to do that public excluded. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? Councillor Hickey, you're happy to move? Yes, thank you. Councillor Butto is second. I'll put those recommendations to move into a public excluded part of this agenda. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Any against? Thank you. That's carried. To our community who has joined us today through live streaming, thank you very much for joining us. And we've had lots to celebrate. We have had lots of updates and some good business. So thank you for joining us today. And we'll have our next council meeting on the 14th of December. Mā te wā. Thank you, everybody, and thank you. If we move off to live streaming, and we have a mover